God. I've
So
never done that before.
we're stuck going early, aren't we?
We don't have to. We could stop and restart theoretically.
Well, no, let's pretend we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, we're just ahead of the game, wanting to hang out even earlier.
Right. We haven't even sent Pat Shan the link yet because I haven't got to that yet, but we will in a second. So
Yeah.
how are you tonight, good sir?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Good.
And by well, I mean incredibly stressed, but I'm happy to be here.
Right.
I don't even have my drinks yet. I just have water like an idiot.
Do you need to go get a drink? I have
I
a
will in a
Yingling
little bit.
Hershey Porter.
Nice. That's a classic. That's a classic Travis right there.
Yeah, it's a classic. It's good stuff. Good for the holidays. Good for your family. So,
Good for the kids to get them to bed sooner.
yeah. So
Sweet.
So, all right.
Oh yeah, Facebook Live is an option. You might already have to be going live or something, but I'm seeing it now.
People are crazy.
People are crazy.
I can't even tell you because we're live. I would tell you my crazy message that I just got. You know, when you're in the comic industry, everyone feels that you owe them something. I don't know why, but it's just a weird thing that comes with comics.
I feel like that's most creative things.
Right.
Like, I feel like if you're a creative, people feel like your time isn't the good.
Right.
They think the good is the good and not the time when in actuality your time is the good. And you just happen to spend your time sometimes making things.
Yeah, I had an awkward conversation once with a creator who I asked to do a picture for someone's daughter died and he wanted like an art picture of Harley Quinn from his daughter. And the artist agreed to it. And then like 3 months later was like, you know what? I don't like doing those. I was like, but this guy is waiting. Like you can't like this is not a thing you can renege on now. Like is it
Right?
pay? I can pay. He's like, no. I'm like, now.
Hey, that's not how that works. and that's what ruins it for other people after you.
So it was odd.
It is odd.
All right, so Pat Shand.
Pat Shand. Hey everybody. Pat Shand will be here soon.
All right. So let's is anybody watching us now? Can we leave some comments? Can you leave some comments if you see us?
I don't think we have anybody here yet.
Well, yeah, because we're supposed to start at 9.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly.
Why would they be here? That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense.
So
Surprise Live. So why don't you talk about what is happening instead of big level comic book leveling up? What are you doing currently to level up? Not necessarily plugs, but like what is like your nitty gritty right now? Because you're in the middle of like you're in between like Kickstarters, right?
Right.
So what are you doing right now whilst getting ready, prepping? What does the now look like for you?
Man, that is a tough call. So for us, our big like WrestleMania, if you will, is MegaCon. Right, that's our big one because it's here in Florida. It's right up the road. It's everything, and Jerome is going to come down. Our letter is coming down. Nice. So we're trying to figure out what book to push forward to make sure we have it for MegaCon, and that is a big one because we've got Expired kind of ready to go. We got Voodoo Nations that could be ready to go. My wife has a book that has a song, and it's a kid's book. We also eventually need to give people that broke down trade. I think some people kind of want that. Yeah. So what do we do? How do we do it? How do we get there? You know, I mean, I think that is the hard thing.
Does everybody have a different opinion on what should be pushed right now?
Not necessarily. It's just having that discussion of what we need to do because we really only can realistically do one.
Sure. If you want to be smart about it.
Right.
Oh, what up, James?
Hello? By the way, when our guest arrives in the backdrop, we'll start our intro and stuff.
All right. Yeah.
That's cool. But so that's,
okay.
that's the
So
fun
yeah,
thing.
you're just trying to focus on what to push right now.
Right. But we also, in January, we've got Coins of Judah starting. So January and February is going to be Coins of Judah's time. And then, spoiler right here, March 15th is the scout release of Granite State Punk.
Ooh, March 15?
March 15th. So.
Oh man, you just missed the Ides of March by a day.
Just, yes.
Whew, it's a close one.
You almost were screwed there.
Yeah. Ugh.
But in the meantime, too, I'm still going to send out Granite State Punk 2 because it's at the printer now, not shipped. And Holiday Spirits 2. So
sweet.
Crazy stuff.
I've Russell, read both of those. They're good, people. What's up, Russell?
We are live a little bit early, guys. So we are kind of killing a little bit of time. We'll do the intro. We'll talk about what this program's all about. If you guys missed the first episode, please watch it on our YouTube. You are streaming on our actual YouTube, not just the Burritos YouTube, but we're probably streaming there too. If I remember correctly. Yes.
We're on Burrito. We're on Fem. We're on Comic Book Level Up. We're on your YouTube. We're on Orange Cone. We're everywhere. And if you want to hit, the top left where it has all the the little squares, you could add your Facebook to it too if you want.
Oh, well, I logged out of that thing.
You could still do it from the stream. You might have to refresh because you joined the team while you're in this browser.
All right, let me try that.
Okay.
Keep them entertained.
I'll talk pinball for a little bit.
All right.
That's what I do when I'm by myself. So, as is Burrito tradition, and when I'm on other streams and I'm stuck by myself, I talk about pinball. Monster Bash is my favorite pinball machine. Travis is already back, so that's my pinball talk.
Nah, that didn't work, but that's okay.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Oh, wait, hold on. I see it. No, not there. No, it's all right. It's all right. So what is this new, your backdrop is different. No, it is. There's like an arcade thing there now.
Arcade thing? You mean my keyboard?
That's a keyboard? No, the thing to the right with all the shiny bits. That's like blue. Yeah, that thing.
That's a Hulk behind a Snicked, a Wolverine scratch short box.
Oh, okay. And then the bottom is a long box. Okay.
That's a long box. Justice League of America, and then X-Men is just out of frame, right there. X-Men free comic book.
But if you look at it from my point of view, and the way it's leaning, it looks like an arcade.
It could be an arcade cabinet for sure. I was like, this has keys. Yeah, it's like my keyboard. It has keys on it. It does have buttons.
Right, keys and buttons.
And then trade comic book storage that I made right there, and then another trade over there. But I do want an arcade cabinet real bad.
You don't own one?
No, because I'm waiting. Oh, the one that I want, it's not a spur of the moment grab one.
So
it's got light guns.
You want to see mine?
Track balls and stuff. Nice.
That's mine.
MK, is that Mortal Kombat 2?
Yeah. It's the Mortal Kombat 2 cabinet, but it's all of them.
But yeah, Mortal Kombat 2 is my favorite Mortal Kombat outside of 10, but that doesn't count because those are basically completely different games.
And 10 is so good.
Oh, it's so good. I love 10.
I even like 11, which I was shocked because I was like, you can't beat 10. But I was like,
no, I like it too. No, it's solid for sure.
And I think they just announced 12, kind of. Mm-hmm. Like
they're teasing it. Yeah. Just like they're talking Tekken 8 is coming out soon, and I love me some Tekken. It's confusing. I can't follow the story at all, but I really like the game.
You know that the arcade cabinets are getting pretty bad when you can now get like Clay Fighter and Killer Instinct, you know?
Right.
Ooh, this industry has topped.
Yes. My new we were at Costco 2 days ago with the new teen, and my cousin who's living with us now, for those that aren't Travis. There was an arcade cabinet there, and it was NFL Blitz.
Nice.
And he likes football, so I was like, we got to check this out. And he was like, what is this? Because this is before his time. And I'm like, this is the best football game
It is.
ever.
Because you could re-tackle them over and over again until it resets. It's so good.
Good. And he was like, and I was like doing really well. And he's like, have you played this before? And I was like, oh, have I played this before? I had it on Dreamcast. I played it in the arcade all the time. I loved that game.
You know, I played it recently as well, and Tom Brady has been such a staple of the Patriots for so long. I was like, I'm going to be able to play as Tom Brady. I was like, who is this? Isn't Tom Brady?
Yeah.
Who is this?
Yep. Yeah. Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders is on the Lions in that game, and just like, oh, I love this game. Barry Sanders, Scott Mitchell.
I used to play the Cowboys for Emmitt Smith.
Oh, Emmitt Smith. Yep. Oh, Emmitt Smith versus Barry Sanders. Those were my favorite times as a Lions fan discussing that. If only there was an internet back then and just get to yell at all the Cowboys fans.
And it didn't have any big head mode. It didn't have any other things that made, you know.
That's what the XFL should be.
They should bring NBA Jams and NFL Blitz. Like you get those back. The other thing that these arcade one-ups need to do is it's really easy to connect these things to the internet. Like why aren't we allowing you to play versus other people? Like it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. I would die. I don't know why EA only does Madden when they have the NFL license. If they did a Blitz along with Madden or had it be like another mode inside of Madden, people would flip out. I'd buy Madden if it had the Blitz mode in it.
You know, I buy a Madden every couple of years, like the previous 2 years, and I'll go through it.
3.
Right. And I'll go through it and be like, oh, this is nice. I like this.
Especially now that stuff shows up for free with different things. Right. Like I get the Game Pass for my PC. So when Madden shows up on that, I'm like, oh, I'll play Madden for free. I would hate to pay $89.99 for the deluxe edition of this. Well, it's Vinny Testaverde.
I think the other thing that when you're talking about those Madden games, I have to play through a season, and I like it. You know, I'm a WWF guy, WWE guy. I don't feel like the story modes are not what I want to play. I create my own character and I try to go up and up the ranks and do all these things, and they have feuds and they do great work. But I don't want to play that. What I want to play is my favorite wrestler making it to WrestleMania. That's what I want to play. And that's not an option. And I don't understand why.
It is strange that they don't have that.
Hey, how are you?
Yeah, that's why I also love GM mode in the WWE games.
Right.
Because I like to just control the matches and stuff.
Which is so weird. Like who really does that? Like you do it once, but who does it? Like I'm gonna set up Raw tonight and I'm gonna hang out and watch it while I'm eating
I don't watch it. I like to play the system while I'm watching something. Like I'll watch wrestling while playing GM mode.
Right. There seems to be no purpose to the GM mode if you don't watch it, which is so weird. Like why would you want to?
I think it's because I also like simulation games. And stuff like that. So it's like scratching that itch while getting to be you're managing, the management part of it is just wrestlers. and
you always play, I find that if you got kicked out of the WWE, that is the guy I want to play. Even if he's not good.
Yes, exactly. It's like Fandango is getting the championship right now.
Fandango versus Bo Dallas for the WWE championship.
Yes, it's going to be the best. All right, so I think Chris just showed up, so I think it's time to officially start the show.
All right, so let's do a quick intro, or do you want to play the video then do the?
I'm going to play the intro, then we can do the intro. Right. Yeah. So you know what time it is? It's time to level up.
All right. That's Todd.
That's Travis.
So we are Comic Book Level Up, guys. You probably haven't seen the show before because it's only been one episode and only had like 47 views. So we are assuming you haven't seen it. So let us tell you what it's about. Unlike a normal show that talks about comics, like the Comic Burrito, we're going to talk about in depth about one creator, about their history, where they came from, how they plan on leveling up, what they plan to do to level up, how they've already leveled up. We're going to get some insight. We're going to really deep dive into this person's career and have a little fun with it. We've got a couple of questions that we ask every guest that we're going to make sure we get all those in and talk about their career. It's going to be a lot of fun. Couple rules to be on the show, and if you're a guest on the show, is one, you had to have been published by someone else. Pat Shand, who is our guest tonight, definitely fits that quota.
That?
No problem. And what was our second one? I can't remember off the top of my head right now.
You have to be published, and you have to have, it has to be more than a one shot.
I don't even think that was
not anthology. An anthology.
Oh, right, not anthology. Yeah.
So that's a little nitpicky that we. Yeah.
Yeah.
But published by somebody else. Somebody else
has paid for you to do work, to write comics or draw comics or something. Someone has decided that you're not just telling us you're great. Someone else has said, I believe it. I'm going to give you some money. Or if you're Aftershock, not pay money. No. Sorry,
but
I believe Aftershock will pay, for the record. Aftershock, please hire me. I'm so sorry.
JK.
But we should invite our guest in.
We should. And what a guest we have.
I like that. Pat Shand. That's good.
Thank you.
That's why we bring Todd in. He knows what's up. He gets all the graphics and makes you look pretty.
I like it. I do. I'm very pleased with that.
You've been on my shows. Who is this guy?
No, actually, I will say this. The way that you do the intros and stuff, you have the cut to the commercial type shit. I like that a lot. My podcast is kind of just go right into it. So I want to start learning how to do that, to pre-program the the intros.
Yeah.
How does it sound?
Sounds good. But yeah, thanks for being here, Pat.
Good.
Also nice to meet you.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Todd was super excited to get you. When I told him the list, we have a list in the background of people who qualify for the show, who we want to get on the show. He was like, "Can we get Pat Shand?" I was like, dude, I know that guy's phone number basically. Like, he would answer my call, so no problem.
You fit two of my favorite criteria. I haven't met you before, so it's always good to talk to somebody and meet new people. Yes. Two, I love something they've made. I love Destiny New York.
Oh, thank you very much. Awesome to hear. Thank you.
So yeah, you covered my 2 big points, and yeah, so it's nice to meet you, and yeah, I love Destiny.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I love to make it.
Sweet, that's good. And I was super stoked when because I work part-time at my comic shop, and I was like, holy shit, this is a Destiny New York. And they were like, yeah, it's coming, it's back through Black Mask. And that passed me by. I wasn't ready for it because I've already read countless Destiny New Yorks, so it was really cool to see that. And I'm just curious I don't know if we're diving right in. I'm curious what that process looks like. Because Destiny New York, you've got it.
Yes.
And then Black Mask is like, hey, that looks pretty good. Or were you like, hey, Black Mask?
Oh, no. When I put something on Kickstarter, I never pursue publishers anymore. I'll take an idea that I haven't brought to Kickstarter to publishers to do first. But to me, once the thing exists, I can sell it in perpetuity. So it takes a publisher coming to me. For Destiny New York, I had 2 offers, and they're both from good companies. Black Mask wanted to take it as is, and I've worked with them before. They don't give notes really, and they were receptive of doing it in black and white, which I already had done. It's black and white and beautiful grayscale.
Mhm.
And the other publisher wanted to take it as is with color added, and they don't pay for art. So I would have to pay out of pocket, which to me was not an incentive whatsoever.
Yep.
When I do it in color, eventually, maybe if I do it, I would do it as hard covers on Kickstarter.
A collected edition type thing, that'd be cool.
Like doing it in single issues is largely, in my view, is promotion and getting into a different audience than is on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And it's for me, it's marketing. It's keeping my name out there. Single issue series have to really take off to make a profit when you have as many issues of Destiny in New York as I do.
Yeah.
I could color 5 issues, but the thing already has 35 in the bank. So that would be a huge commitment. So that was an easy no there for me.
I'm assuming it helps for later too, so you don't have to color it. If you end up doing your own collected edition, then it all stays the same. Then if you don't want to like mess with it at all, too.
Right. That's it's the same as what Kickstarter backers got, just in single issue form and in trade form. The only thing that we've changed is sometimes, for example, I like the idea of breaking chapters into single issues. They fit nicely, but my whole approach in Destiny New York was, I'm doing this as a graphic novel. I'm not going to hit a certain number of pages per chapter, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do what feels right for the book, the same way that I would do if I were writing a prose novel or a graphic novel that had no chapter breaks. I'm going to pace it in what feels right. But what felt right wasn't always a
22 pages.
22 pages, 20. Yeah. I mean, even we can go as far as 28, 32 pages would make a nice, clean single issue break. But some were longer and some were much shorter. So we had to break the issues sometimes at a decisive point in a chapter. So then the next issue would have a longer issue or that kind of thing, just to make sure that people who are getting it in single issues get the bang for their buck. Because I would never add pages. To me, that would kind of be betraying the Kickstarter backers,
Right.
So yeah.
That's cool. I think it's so far because I don't think that the breaks have been abrasive at all. It's not like I'm reading Gunland 2 from Magnetic, and they literally just cut it down to these are how many pages. They split a graphic novel down to just even pages.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Oh, this is bad.
Yeah, I don't do that. And also what I'm kind of learning right now is that I have to do it in different ways with Gangster S Barista. Gangster S Barista is a Destiny New York spinoff that is also now being put out through Black Mask as single issues. And the format of the graphic novel is 3 chapters and then a short story at the end. So the call was to break the short story as well. So you get chapter 1 and a piece of the short story. So now I'm finding these kind of cliffhanger breaks in what is a 16-page story 3 times.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge for sure, but it's one that I am happy to experiment with. It's something different for the title. It's something new. And I think it's working out very well.
Nice. That's cool.
So,
all right, I'll stop fanboying. Go for it, Travis.
You can fanboy all you want. We'll get back to that, I'm sure. So first, we have to address you not adding stuff. Is that throwing shade at Charlie, who adds stuff with White Ash? That's what we got to address that first.
Let's start the drama now.
Because you love the beef.
Adding stuff?
Yeah, he adds stuff to White Ash to make it fit for the 24.
It's different than the Kickstarter.
Because I heard you guys beef a lot, so that's what I hear on Twitter.
Charlie's my man, If we were to discuss that, I would definitely say that I wouldn't do it. But one difference that I'll complicate things with is that, to me, right, the trade, the hardcover is forever. Single issues are not. Right. Charlie is adding to the single issues that I believe everything that shows up in the ultimate version of the single issue is in the trade or the hardcover. That's what I think he does, which is what I would do too. If he were doing it where it was trade first and then a direct market trade that changes things around, that I would say probably don't do. But I don't think he does it that way.
He does add anything he adds. It's actually 2 different trades. So if you get the one from Kickstarter and Scout, they're different.
Yeah, they're different trades,
which is crazy. But
it is.
But we're not here to talk about Charlie. We talked about Charlie last time. I just want
Go
to
check out our last episode if you want to hear more about that.
I watched the whole thing. Normally when I see friends put on a comics podcast, I'll watch a bit. I watched the whole thing. It was good.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So
I like you guys. I like Charlie. Again, it's true. He and I, our message thread is basically debating everything from marketing to the state of Twitter right now to Kickstarter to politics to life. We disagree about it all, but he's great.
Nice. Yeah, that's what's important. It's still respect and have fun at the end.
Oh yeah.
So I looked at Comic Vine, and they say you have 547 issues credited. Would you say that's accurate?
Probably, yeah. What they do though is this. I think that,
Todd's like, what?
I think that what I look at as a pure credit is when I co-wrote the issue. That's like the lowest level of credit that I would put on my shelf. There are issues that I've entirely written the plot for that someone else will write. Because at Zenescope, I was an editor and I was staff writer. So how we would do it is we would meet for a year. You know, we would meet in December and we would break down what's going to happen in the stories for the year. You know, and as titles became as they publish more, we began to do it multiple times per year. But essentially, Ralph, Joe, and for a time Raven Gregory and I, we would write plots for the year. We would just talk about it out loud. I would take notes, and then it would be on Raven and me, just me usually, to go down to the main office and just turn our conversations into an outline that a writer can then come on and script. So those are ones that I've gotten credit for that I, in some way, co-wrote because I plotted it, you know, but I wouldn't put that in my, what's that pretentious word? Au revoir, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, how many comics would you say you've written then? Like actual written? Would you guess? I know it's probably more than you can count, but just out of curiosity.
It's got to be over 3.
Over 300?
So at least.
Yeah.
I'd say over 3. I think I've read at least 3 Destiny New Yorks, and you've done spin-offs, so yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
The proper answer is how many have you written, Travis? More than that. That's it.
No, yeah, I've written a lot. You know, there was a time where I was writing between low 4, high 8 for Zenescope every month. You know, and that adds up. And that's just the ones I was scripting, not what I was co-writing. And I'm sure that Comic Vine put on titles that I was just editing. You know, like I edited Wonderland when I edited it from Raven's Run on the ongoing from about issues probably 10 through 20 something. Then Eric Esquivel took over. I edited him. Erica J. Heflin took over. I edited her. And that's probably about 40, not 45, about 25 issues fully there. So that's a nice chunk of what I did. But yeah, 300 something sounds right.
Okay. Which is insane. Ooh. And one of the credits that I learned on Comics Vine, you know, I'm going to talk about your direct market stuff, and then we're going to go into your Kickstarter, because you also have 22 created Kickstarters, which is crazy.
I have more than that. I have 2 campaigns, two
profiles.
Yeah, so my Patch Jam one is 22. My Space Between one is 4. So I have a total of 26 ones that I ran, and also ones that I don't include there that I ran for other publishers. So yeah.
Okay.
I think
I have a few of those
more
too.
than that. That's wild.
So, question for you, Todd. What was your first Pat Shan book that you
Destiny New York.
Okay, Destiny New York. Mine is Breathless. I read your Breathless book.
I read Breathless after Destiny New York.
Okay.
Breathless is great.
Thank you.
I actually have that. I have Breathless. It's not in my. I usually would pull out these books. I have Breathless going to a friend for Christmas. Actually, I'm passing along the love.
Very nice of you. Yes, pass on the long tradition of Breathless. Breathless actually, you know, it lasted 4 issues at Black Mask. That was the plan all along. but we're gonna bring it back for a one shot, at least a one shot. We'll probably do more. But there's a succubus character in Breathless who we're gonna bring back for her own one shot that we're gonna do through.
Sweet.
I have this imprint at Black Mass now called Black Mass Special Projects, where I pick their IPs and I run Kickstarters, and I of course am me. So a few of my IPs are going to be coming back there too. So we'll be doing that Breathless one shot to start. There'll be more coming back soon. But yeah,
Nice.
I got that when Black Mass was doing their like crazy. I got on the Black Mass train when they were like 50% off everything because COVID is the worst.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I have like 20 Black Mask titles.
Oh yeah, they're great. They're great.
It's good company. A lot of great stuff.
Yeah. And there's a great universe in Breathless. There's tons of stories to be told in that universe. When I read it, I was like, oh, there's a lot of stuff to play with, which I think is one of your staples of you as a writer. Everything I've read, I'm like, oh, I could do 3 spinoffs here, right? Like, and you only normally see that in like a Spider-Man, right? A Spider-Man or an X-Men, like when they write things, oh, we're always planning for the spinoff or the big crossover coming up, but you write to that like naturally, which I think is amazing, which is, I think, one of your strongest suits. The other big one that I saw there that I didn't know that you did that I read was you wrote that. What the hell happened? Sorry.
I've never read What the Hell Happened. What's that?
Sorry,
about?
there's an ad. Comic Vine threw up an ad randomly and it freaked me out. It's Crossed. You wrote some the back matter of, was it like the backup story for Crossed?
Yes, I wrote the backup story for Crossed Plus 100.
Which, by the way, is considered for people who like read Crossed, one of their better storylines is the 100. I was actually just on the comic store last week talking about how we're all like, none of us like Crossed, but they have some great ideas. And we talked specifically about the Plus 100 stuff and how great those ideas were in that stuff.
Well, I mean, I have a document that I can never share.
Okay.
If I shared it, this would be one of those light the comics internet on fire moments. My Cross Plus 100, my assignment was to script from what was essentially Alan Moore's plot, but it was more than a plot. Alan Moore wrote the main Cross Plus 100 arc.
Right.
What he also wrote that wasn't published was he wrote the entire history of what happens between the original Crossed event by Garth Ennis, right. And he writes what happens to the world, how nature changes, how language changes, how geography changes. He wrote a textbook of that. And that's the document from which I scripted. I was told to write stories that connected the original Cross to Alan's run. And I had his document, and I took the conceits of what the world was like, say, 40 years after Crossed, 60 years, and built toward Cross Plus 100 years.
Nice. That's cool.
And
so he like Tolkien'd it, and then you wrote off of that?
Yes.
That's cool.
I mean, there's a glossary. Let me see if I can still look it up.
Leak it. Yes, Chaos. Definitely leak it.
But Pat, how wild was that? Like, the comic's great, Alan Moore. You're like, here, use him as your guide. Like, that's amazing. Like who gets that? That's amazing.
It remains such a huge part of my career that I got to do this. All right, so I have the document open here, and
share screen,
right? It's insane. He has a whole section where it's the dictionary of Crossed, where he writes Plus 100 speech, and he has just for example, he writes general rule: many adjectives become nouns. Not that's unreasonable, but that's not a reasonable. You're a correct rather than you're correct. What's your mean instead of what's your meaning? And
interesting.
And this is, I'm scrolling this. This is 13 pages of the tiniest text imaginable, single spaced, all about the Cross world.
Wow.
And
you're it's like you are Alan Moore's child. That's perfect. Chaos.
yeah, I mean, I definitely can't share this. It's top secret, but I'm happy to give
It's
a
so
little peek.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
was
awesome.
it was very fun to write, and
Oh, yeah.
plus,
How many pages?
did I do or did Alan do?
No, how many was in that document? How many pages?
13.
13?
Yeah.
That's a lot. Just for
it's insane.
Like here's
so much
the world.
And I studied that, but also too, Crossed in general, it's having that gig was such a reward to me because it was the original IP is Garth Ennis, legend. Cross
Right.
Plus 100 is envisioned by Alan Moore, ultimate
Right.
legend. To be involved in that, I mean, and also on my run, who was doing the main story is Christos Gage, legend.
Right.
So I felt in great
That's
company.
crazy.
And I mean, there are characters that I created that I still look back on and I love. There was I like to find a strange dichotomy. Crossed. The whole conceit of Crossed is that instead of zombies, the apocalypse is created by this infection that creates this cross-shaped rash on people's faces, and they lose their shit. They become sadistic, they lose their humanity, they become feral essentially. And over the years, the cross became more inbred and more feral. And I wrote this character whose name was Cockrip, who was obsessed with ripping off male genitalia, and she was so fun to write because she was so bizarrely sadistic that there was an innocence in her behavior, and it was fun to play that dichotomy because the cross that I was writing are no longer people who were infected; they're the children of the infected who were always this way, and
Right.
it was a very interesting setup. And I mean, I owe all of that to Alan, to Garth, and to William at Avatar, who gave me the gig. It was great.
Chaos. I'm not putting that one out. That's really cool. I love that too. That's oh damn, I forget. There's a story that I shouldn't even talk about it if I can't remember. It's something about werewolves in the dichotomy because they had children. They were bitten, but then they had children who were werewolves, and it's not a curse to them. They just were werewolves. That's just who they are. And that's always interesting because it changes what that means to you. And like being a child and just growing up with that is different than being a normal person and then it happening to you.
Yes. It's it becomes their natural state rather than a curse that a human is suffering.
Yeah, that's just life. There is no difference. Like, yeah. It's like, oh, it really sucked to be like, I would hate to be like an ant. And it's like, yeah, but if you grew up as an ant, you wouldn't know any better. What does it matter? That's cool. I like it. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
Oh, someday those 13 pages need to go into the back of a collected edition. And
I mean, maybe,
that would be amazing.
I mean, based on how people exploit Alan Moore, it probably will.
It's got it.
I will say.
Just hasn't done it yet.
Alan, there's a reason why the one publisher he keeps going back to is Avatar. They treated me very well, and I know from the conversations there that they treat him very well. I mean, they're great. I think that I did a lot for them too because they also run Boundless, and Boundless is seen as Avatar is like hardcore horror. And Boundless has hardcore sexual elements. But aside from needing a sexual aspect, on my Boundless work, they largely, on my two main runs, let me do whatever I want. Like, I have that's always, to me, such an important element of a publisher, that they are respectful of a creator's vision. And William at Avatar, he hires incredible artists. If you look at who he hires as writers, it's Kieran Gillen, it's Alan Moore, it's Garth Ennis, And oh wait, it's your boy. Okay, so
Yeah, boy.
so you gotta respect.
So all really awesome writers who deserve to just have their creations made. Perfect.
Oh man, I loved writing that book. I can't, I don't really talk about it that much because it's been years.
Right.
But I'm like scrolling through it now, and the art of it is just really, really raw, really good. Because my thought was, Crossed is, as a reader, it can be a hard read because there's, I mean,
Yeah.
I have not reread that book.
yeah, it's sadistic, because that's the point that's the infection is sadism. But I strove to find innocence, and part of the gig too was to flip the roles. There was this one gig where I think it was number 3 in Cross Plus 100. The roles have flipped. Humanity has really taken back over the world. So there's this one where there's this cross boy, and obviously he is out of his mind, sadistic nut, but he's on the run being hunted by humans, and you follow him, and it explores that innocence that I was talking about.
That's cool. Maybe I'll have to go back to it.
And then on the flip side, Underdog.
Oh, bro, yeah. I mean,
do you feel like your Underdog run is as well? Do you have a Bible from the creator of Underdog that's 13 pages when you did Underdog?
I'd also like that, please.
I did. Yes. All right. So Underdog was that. Also, I was largely given freedom, which I love. It's funny. Underdog was kind of seen as a left field gig for me, but it's one of the few licenses that I've worked on where, as a kid, I actually liked Underdog. Right. As a kid, I would tape it when it would come on Cartoon Network, and yeah, I remember that there was this one episode where it ends on a cliffhanger, and at the time, as a kid, I was like, "How is he going to survive?" So I actually cared.
That's awesome. That's cool.
So seeing them with that license, I remember they put out number 1 as, I believe it was a Free Comic Book Day issue, and I had just written Equilibrium for them. And I saw Underdog, and I wrote them. I was like, let me write Underdog. So I did issues 3 and 4, and then I did a whole miniseries. I did 3 and 4 of the normal title, and then I did 1 through 3 of Underdog and Pals.
Wow.
Amazing. That's so great. I love it.
And again, let's keep on your license work for a little bit since we're here. So then you've done The Angel and you've done Charmed, so 2 WB Wonder Houses, right?
Angel, Charmed.
Yes. Angel was my first ever comic.
Nice.
Yes. That was my dream. I ran a website called Buffyverse Comic Reviews, and that was sort of my way in. I would review every single Angel and Buffy comic. I would talk to the creators. I would post interviews with them. I would email them. And the Angel thing started for me one day when artist Stephen Mooney, who has since done some DC work, I think that's where he mainly works now. He posted that he wanted to draw a Fred and Illyria, a Wesley and Illyria miniseries set in Angel Season 5, but he had no one to write it. So that night, and Chaos and Comics put Dawson's Creek by Pat Shannon. I would love to do a Dawson's Creek comic.
Oh man,
yeah.
Oh, so I don't know if you know this, Pat, but I run a Substack now, not Substack, a Discord. In it, we have all my normal comic stuff and then Dawson's Creek channel to talk about Dawson's Creek. So we talk about the Dawson every day. Yeah, it's important. So
and Reese's.
Come join us. And Reese's. There's the Reese's channel as well.
And Reese's.
I don't know how to support, but I should join because I fuck with Dawson heavy. I remember, I do. I remember there was one time where this is so fucking beta. I was at home, right? And and I was watching it was the season where Dawson has become that old man in the hospital is his mentor, right?
Yeah, he's making that film, right?
Yes. And my mom comes in and I'm like, Mom, get out. I'm about to cry right now, get out. But yeah, I love Dawson's Creek. It's a sweet story. It's coming of age. It is stylized as far as its dialogue goes, which I like. And and it's very WB. It's very of the time. You know, I love it. I've actually never seen the final season though. I've watched seasons 1 through 4 probably 7 times over again, but I never gotten to the end.
You just can't do it, huh? It's too heartbreaking.
No, I want to. It's just that, you know, it's one of those shows that it's a nostalgic watch for me,
Right.
and I never saw those live. So I usually just go back to the ones that I know. But I do want to eventually see them, see it through, you know.
Well, and Kevin Williamson steps away that last season too, so that's tough too. As someone who probably appreciates writing, like for me, Dawson was who I wanted to be. Like that's who I wanted to be. But it was so interesting because growing up, I was a lot like Pacey. Like I was causing trouble, getting in trouble, like doing crazy season 5 watch party. Let's do it. I'll do it, Pat. Dawson's Creek.
I'm gonna share the screen right now. We're gonna start it right now, y'all.
But I wanted to be Dawson. I wanted to be this creator. I wanted to put wonderful things in this world. The things he was saying about what I was like, that's how I feel. But I'm that guy. So I'm never going to be Dawson, right? Because I'm not that guy. I'm Pacey. And I couldn't in my head, because of youth, separate that you can be both, right? You can be a guy who's had all this life experience, who've grown up on the wrong side of the track. You don't need a perfect family to be able to do that.
You can be 2 archetypes because no one's ever one archetype.
Right. So for me, the Dawson was the shit. And that's all I wanted to be, you know, and I would have never watched it if I didn't love for film. You know, I watched Scream and was like, dude, I'm going to check out this Dawson's Creek. It's going to be dope. This is not Scream.
They're different for sure, but both great.
But both great. I'm really excited we talked about the Dawson's Creek. In fact, it's going to be hard.
Be the new tradition. Each episode is going to have to slip a Dawson's Creek into it.
Hey, I think it's a good idea. You know?
That's the last question: is what's your favorite Dawson's Creek episode?
You know, episode is hard to think of, but the arc where Pacey is building that boat, you know.
Yeah. Yep. It's a good arc. So what was your Angel arc? I'm sorry. I'm a huge Buffy Angel fan.
Right.
And I've always
all right, I'm bored, but all right, continue.
It was a very short gig. Stephen Mooney posted that he wanted to have someone write a Wesley and Lyria season 5 story, and that all the writers were busy creating, you know, post-series stuff. They were doing Angel After the Fall, all that stuff. So that night, I scripted a full outline of a miniseries, 3 issues, and the first full script of a 22-page Angel story set in season 5. I sent it to him, and I remember to this day. He replied, and he went, "Not gonna lie, Pat, I love it. I'll see what I can do." And he sent the script to the guys at IDW. And listen, of course, at the time, Angel was their top title of all time. So it was a no, but it put me on their radar. So when I met the editors at it was New York Comic Con, I think maybe 2008 or 9. No, wait, it was later. It was 2010. I talked to them and found that Angel was leaving IDW and going to Dark Horse, and that they were doing one last comic called Angel Yearbook. And I was given a story, a 2-page Angel story. And I used that as a calling card. You know, I would write to editors and say, "Hey, it's Pat, the writer of Angel." You know, and it was true. It wasn't the whole truth, but it was true.
Yes, true enough.
Yeah, that got me. That specifically got me in the conversation for Charmed because there was a connection there. You know,
what was the 2 pages?
It was a short story about. It was sort of just Angel telling a story about how Los Angeles has become his home, but by the end of the story, we reveal that he's more talking about his son Connor.
Yeah. Oh, Connor.
Oh, Connor.
Oh, Connor.
Well, I don't know
baby
if you know
man.
This. One of my good friends is Carl Moline, who helped create Frey.
Carl is an incredible artist. He is on my to work with list for sure.
Yeah, he's done several covers for me. He did the first Broke Down. He just did a cover for Coins of Judas because he was like, "It's your first diamond work post 2000 post 2003. So I got to get it. So he did a cover for that. But yeah, he's a great guy. You should definitely get him to do something.
Yeah.
Connor got robbed of a good story. Agreed. Connor was a great character.
Mm-hmm.
All of that, Buffy. In fact, some people argue that Angel is one of the best endings of one of those type of shows because it ends you with wanting more.
Yes.
Where most of the other ones, a lot of the other ones give you just all right, everything's resolved. Where Angel's like, no, you wish the show continued, mother effer. Like,
Angel also had guts to end on a thematic statement. There are very few shows that do that. To me, there are 4 in the conversation. It's 6 Feet Under, Angel, Sopranos, Leftovers. Those 4 to me are the GOATs. If there's any others that can be in the conversation, I'd be happy to watch them. But
Parks and Recreation.
Great ending. That was a very it was almost satisfying. Like that was satisfying. The Office
doesn't keep the mind a wandering though.
Right.
But yeah, no, I really love Buffy's ending for too. Like it was nice because it was a longer series too, so it felt ready to be done in all of that. Where Angel not feeling ready to be done for me because I liked Angel more than Buffy overall. Buffy took longer to get running. Angel had the opportunity to know what it was before it started, where Buffy learned along the way what it was. And I love Angel for that. It knew its tone right off the bat, so I wasn't ready for it to end because I loved it so much, but it does make you go, oh, that's cool. Like,
yes.
And it wouldn't have worked for TV what they did. Like, as soon as they did that, it's like, you're not going to be able to pull that off for Justice. Is perfect for comics.
Yes. No, I mean, the comics, that was an exciting time. I feel like there's no licensed comic right now that's popping off like crazy.
Right.
There was a time where Buffy was the biggest Dark Horse title and Angel was the biggest title at IDW. And then the second biggest title that overtook Angel was fucking True Blood. That doesn't happen anymore. There's no licensed comic besides when Star Wars first came to Marvel, but that's different.
Sure.
That doesn't exist anymore.
Now there's like 12 Star Wars titles, so that's just its own thing. It's barely a license anymore because it has its own comic entity now.
Though I will say, there's a lot of that Gargoyles stuff being bought. Like people seem to really dig that Gargoyles. I think it has potential. We don't know yet.
I got a number 1. It wasn't my favorite thing in the world.
Sure.
But I got number 1 because it's Gargoyles.
That's a great point, though. That's the biggest licensed conversation I've seen on social media. I'd say probably since Power Rangers number 1.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Dark Tales is following it, which I think will be interesting too. Because I love
What's that one?
Darkwing Duck.
Darkwing Duck.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's coming right after. So I think that's a funny 1-2 punch. Here's Gargoyles and here's Darkwing Duck.
Both Dynamite?
Yeah. Yep.
Interesting. Maybe they're becoming the new big license.
The new IDW?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, those shoes are big to me. I mean, licensed comics are what drew me in, like I would love it if I would love the Stranger Things comic, but the truth is that it must be so hard to write that because the seasons really don't leave room for shit to happen between the seasons.
Nope. The adventures between don't really make as much sense because it's pretty concise and the story is told pretty well. And there's not a lot of meat left on the bones.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Well, and remember Buffy, going back to the Buffy license, it was such a big deal going, this is the next season officially.
Yes.
From Joss Whedon. I mean, you can't get a better send off. Like this is official. And I'm hiring all my best friends to do it.
Gotta read it now.
Oh, all right.
Well, it was a big moment. Yeah, that's really what that majorly drew me to comics. And some of the best comics writing that I got to know was by following writers that I would see on those titles. Like Brian K. Vaughan, of course, wrote the second arc of Buffy season 8. And then I was like, oh, this is amazing. The writing here feels every bit as good as the show. So let me see his other stuff. And I read Runaways Ex Machina Y, and I mean
Runaways
any
is
conversation for the greatest of all time that doesn't include Brian K. Vaughan is incorrect. You know, he's
well, they're just lacking. They're missing out on something huge because and then nobody talks about Runaways. I really, really love Runaways. Runaways is great.
Runaways is great. I have, I'm not sure if we can see over there, but those 3 huge hardcovers. That's one of the series that after Brian left, to me, they were never able to capture that vibe again. You know, I mean, I love them for what they were. You know, I loved Joss Whedon's Runaways as Joss Whedon's Runaways, Terry Moore's Runaways as Terry Moore's Runaways.
Yeah.
But I feel like Brian K. Vaughan really writes in a way that it feels creator owned, you know, and they brought in other writers who their stuff feels creator owned. Joss's stuff, his characters speak like his characters. Terry Moore characters feel like they exist in this cohesive Terry Moore universe that you want to feel a whole part of. So that the fact that Runaways was in the Marvel universe and not creator owned is kind of hard for me to remember, you know, because it felt so much. It felt like 3 different creator owns, Vaughn, Eden, and Moore, you know.
Yep, for sure.
Well, and I think Runaways hit at such a perfect time because at the time only X-Men had legacy characters.
Yep.
Right. And then Runaways goes, we have legacy characters, look, but they're not the Avengers. They're not the Young Avengers. They're just these guys who are connected to these very low level tier horror and stuff like that, which I think is so great.
Yeah. It made it really special and let it probably feel creator owned because they won't let people do that with things that could run amok.
That's true. But yeah, I think that if there were more licensed comics now, there'd be more of a bridge for non-comics readers to get into comics. Because the bridge that we thought would work but didn't is the MCU. You know, like there are not that many people who are running to comic shops after the next big MCU movie. The people who would have done that have already done it.
Yep, and they're either hooked or they're like, oh, that wasn't for me, and they're not going to do it again. Yep.
Yeah. There's an occasional crossover. Like my kid likes Miss Marvel now because of the TV show, but I think those are few and far between, and they're not. It's a big impact that they need.
Fortnite is what does it now.
Right.
Oh man, Fortnite. Our pull list for Fortnite is so much longer than any of our other pull lists because all these random people are coming in just for the Fortnite books. We have a whole Fortnite list, and it's wild.
And that's meaningful. You know, there are these IPs where no matter what, people just want more. And comics not picking those IPs up, it could be because they can't. You know, I've had conversations with licensors because now what I do on Kickstarter, I could easily bring to the direct market as space between entertainment. So I've talked to licensors about, you know, taking titles that are inactive and bringing them to the DM as comics myself. But with all these huge corporations acquiring other also huge corporations, it makes that shit really hard.
It makes it a whole thing. Yeah, everything's owned by somebody else.
Yes. I had a conversation about a comic book license. I can't say what it is, but it's a license where I know the exact numbers that the last version of the comic sold. They sold for less than $1,000. They sold to less than 1,000 readers per issue, and I would need something like a guarantee of 10 times that per issue to make, plus somewhat million in insurance to host this license. And it's just like, oh, so that license can't really exist with a publisher that isn't Marvel or DC, and Marvel or DC wouldn't hold this license, you know? So that's kind of what I think is that maybe people aren't scooping these licenses anymore because the companies make them kind of hard to do it.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense because they want guaranteed return now because everything is down to the penny and it's all corporate profits. And comics aren't really about, especially number ones on indie titles are not about instant profits. It's you gotta hold out.
So let's talk about Zenescope because if we keep talking about licensed property, we'll go forever.
Yeah.
Theo Vaughn. Let's try to talk with Theo Vaughn about making a comic book. Listen, I'm a big Theo Vaughn fan. I have talked to comedians about doing comics based on their podcast before. I have a cover, I have artwork for a Brilliant Idiots comic with Charlemagne the God and Andrew Schultz. It just never
Amazing.
happened because the idea that we had, I met with them. I was on their podcast. We had an idea that was very election focused, and by the time that we were talking about an artist, the idea became passe because we were getting closer to the election, and everything was about the election. So that idea kind of died. But I am very, very much in the mode of wanting to work with comedians on comics for their IPs.
And the last licensing question, and it's about you.
What should I say? I got a call last week about two heroes of mine being involved in a conversation about something similar to that.
Cool.
To the point where when I told my editor on the book, Sharon Lee, I was like, what would be the craziest pair of people to be involved in X? And she immediately said who they were. And I was like, yep. So yeah.
Sweet.
Good. That's
Amazing.
awesome.
I love it.
Even those talks are great. You know, I had a talk for Coins of Judas already. Someone tried to buy it, and it was not, you know, someone who I'd sell to, but it was just nice to have that conversation. like, yeah, you live down the street from me, and
It was me. It was a real low ball.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. You know, like, what's not discussed in comics is like how many huge names are in the conversation of what IP is going to become something. And when you first hear about it, it seems like it's going to be a big deal. And I was on the phone with Black Mask. It's a long time past, so I can say this. In one phone call, Black Mask, Matt Pizzolo, told me that he was having conversations with Mandy Moore's people and 50 Cent's people about Snap Flash Hustle. And growing up,
amazing.
I am a major fan of 50 Cent, and I loved Mandy Moore. Like, I watched A Walk to Remember over and over and over, wishing that Jamie from Walk to Remember, as played by Mandy Moore, would be my girl, dude. So those are always interesting conversations. But Black Mask stopped telling me who was involved in these conversations because they realized, well, they said that these conversations are not usually a yes. So if they were to tell me everything, it would be depressing. So I asked them, like, all right, so on a scale from 1 to 100, what is the odds that this pair of people are going to say yes to being involved? And they said, 100, it's done. So it's a yes. Now it's just a matter of getting it made. So we have people attached to it. We just don't know if it'll get made. Which who knows? I'm not even sure if I'm supposed to be saying this, but fuck it, you know.
I love it.
Well, I listened to Scott Snyder, and Scott Snyder talked about how his whole business model is making books to be optioned. He's like, I don't even care if they get made anymore. He just wants the option because they make so much on the option that he can have a steady paycheck to be able to write whatever the hell he wants. Because if he's not, he's going to have to go to Marvel and DC to make that big money to get that steady pay, which I thought was super fascinating, but also really good, right? Like, so if I can get a couple of low-level auctions, I can provide for my family a little bit because they have to be renewed yearly. And then I'd feel safe to be able to be more creative, which I thought was really, really powerful. Like, it seemed like it was going to depress me, but it actually inspired me more going, oh, yeah, that's a good goal. I like that.
Yeah, it's cool.
I like that. Who cares if they made? Like, I'm happy, which is crazy cool. Hey, Comics by the Bay.
What up?
All right. So are we ready to talk about Zenescope?
Hell yeah, of course.
So you started, what year did you start at Zenescope?
Year 1, 2011. I published, Angel came out in May of 2011, and my first published Zenescope work was the Grimm Fairy Tales 2011 Holiday Special. And that came out in November of 2011. And at that point, I was already in talks for Charmed, and I had done but wasn't published yet. Their licensed comic of Spike TV's A Thousand Ways to Die, which is a crazy license to have. But yeah, so yeah, first year out.
First year out, and then you became staff in 2016. You told me, right?
No, 2012 until 2016.
Okay, 2012, 2016. Yeah. So what? So two questions here about Zenescope specifically. So, which characters in Zenescope do you feel that you created? Basically, I mean, you didn't create them fully, but the development of Zenescope's version. What would you say, or is there more than two?
Oh, there's dozens.
Right.
Yeah. Robin Hood for sure.
Okay.
Van Helsing, Masumi. I mean, every character in the Unleashed arc is. From then on, I co-created essentially every character who appeared, besides someone who Joe Brusher brought in. Robin Hood was given to me as an image of who she was, an outline of the first issue, and ideas for issues 2 through 5. So I wrote the first issue as outlined, and then I asked if it was okay if I went in a different direction for issues 2 through 5, and they said yes. So from then on to Robin Hood origin throughout the entire rest of the 39 issues that I wrote her, that was all me with notes from Ralph, Joe, and at one point Raven. So I would say that I co-created Robin in that way, where the art existed before me, but I helped shape her voice and personality. And that at the time it was seen as like the main work that I was known for, Right. But yeah, Robin Hood for sure, Van Helsing, the character that is a main feature as Zenescope now, who is named Mystere. She started as Mary Medina, and I had her as Mary Medina in my Grim Fairy Tales arc. I introduced her. I was with Ralph and Joe as we created her. We created Lance, who is our Lancelot character, Wiglaf. Who else was in that run? Multiple characters, and Masumi from Unleashed. She is the sword character, and it goes on and on. They're being from Unleashed. The Dark Queen, Joe had the idea for her, and then we discussed her in a chat. Like, I remember all this stuff. I remember because it was so. They're so different at Zenescope. Comics is largely get a gig, pitch for the gig, write based on the approved pitch, notes on the script, turn the script in, you're done. Right. Zenescope is anything but that. Zenescope, I would drive to Philadelphia, near Philadelphia, Horsham, Pennsylvania, and we would do writers' rooms. I would meet with them. We'd be in constant email talks. They really made me part of the crew. And they treated Zenescope like a family. And when I see them, they do the same to me to this day. And
their fans, I would argue, with their conventions and stuff, the way they treat their fans.
Very much so. They're notable in that way. It was amazingly collaborative, where it felt like everything fed into the next thing. Like before me, Raven Gregory was staff writer, and he, what he was known for, his main work was Wonderland, and characters that we brought into Wonderland from other titles. He rolled with that. I brought characters from his stuff into my stuff. It was a fun, cohesive vision, and I liked when everything could be read on its own, but when read together could paint an overall bigger picture, and that was just very, very fun. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I guess we got to wrap back up because we're going to back to Kickstarter and kind of start like this. We're going to talk about Destiny New York and how you've really showed, because you do things so differently. If you look at you, if someone was talking about you, they wouldn't believe it, right? So this guy does black and white,
is that
full graphic. Oh, okay. No. They do full. This guy does black and white, full graphic novels.
Yes.
on Kickstarter and is very successful at it. Like people be like, no, nobody wants that.
That's
Like,
not what comic book Kickstarters are. Yeah.
Right. It's the exact opposite.
Isn't it just a $20 15-page book? That's
Right,
what-
as little-
that's what it is, right?
as little as you could do with as little art as you can. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is the exact opposite of what you do. And you've created this huge universe with spin-off characters. With, I mean, you just had the Metal Shark Bro guys do one, and you have one live right now that we got to talk about. What is that like? How is that going? And you know, how do you feel about that? Because you have kind of labeled yourself as not only a Kickstarter creator, but one of the main Kickstarter creators, like the mainstay.
I'd say so. Yeah. I mean, how can I say this? Because I want to do it all on Kickstarter. I, for a long time, as I was finding my voice on Kickstarter, finding my audience, I was largely doing books that I felt the Destiny New York audience would enjoy. Like, for example, Prison Witch. That is so much in line with Destiny New York that people thought it was in the same universe, but it's not, you know? So I began to branch out with my more adult titles. I've done all ages titles, and I wish I could do more, but Kickstarter does not support all ages books. It's unfortunate, but it's true.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not a thing.
No, and I do want to do single issues. I probably wouldn't do one that's 15 pages and then like a bunch of, you know, an art gallery where it's one image and she's like naked in 17 different ways. I mean, get your bag.
Well, that's one book right there.
Yeah, it's true. I am gonna do what I am gonna do, because this is interesting to me, is patch covers where it's a single image and then you put a patch over it to show a difference in the art. Sometimes the differences are so small that you can't really note it. But I have a book coming up that is going to have a character who the twist of her is that she appears as this like innocent, cute girl character, and then later on it's revealed that she is the dark priestess of this demon god. So we have both covers, you know, the false cover and then the reveal cover.
Cool.
So yeah, that kind of stuff is cool to me. But I do want to give readers a bang for their buck. You know, that's of major importance to me, where the single issue Kickstarter market is big because that is a mixture of readers and collectible fans, and both are really important to kind of lean into and support and to feed into that market to survive and to make a living, you know. But largely I've been going for the readers, and I've been successful there. I think that I've done a good job of giving people a large helping of Destiny New York, and then the next year coming out with a book that elevates what went on in that book, and I've kept the series going in a way that's interesting and makes people want more. And that's what I want out of books too. You know, that's what I want out of TV. I write as if I was the fan. I love these characters, and you know, Travis, you mentioned earlier that my writing feels like there could be multiple different spin-offs, that it's a large world to explore, and that's very purposeful, you know.
Sure.
I write, especially Destiny New York, but I try everywhere to have characters that are essentially the lead of their own story. So, and I mean, that's why the truth was, if I was a shrewd businessman, I would do Destiny New York as much shorter volumes, and I would just do more of it. But I want to explore as much as I can within that volume a set of characters, and I want every single supporting character to not feel supporting, to feel like that they're their own main character with their own active life on the page and beyond the page.
That's how it comes across. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's
spin-offs seem natural because it's just like, well, yeah, they're already a fully fleshed character. Why wouldn't you go tell that story? They're not just like, here's the wacky person. Needed a wacky person here.
Right.
Yeah, but I would argue, hold on, let me even go further, that if you've never read Destiny New York, just the titles like Smoke Weed to the Future. People who love weed, which is not my thing, but like that's cool to them. That's a cool thing. Badass Gangster Barista, like that is like something people want to read, like just on title alone, with no knowledge of Destiny New York, and you're just giving them like that. Where Destiny New York is bonus material, which is crazy.
No, it's true. That's
It's funny, yeah.
I've designed those books to work if there was no Destiny New York. That's very, very purposeful. And those two titles, Gangster Barista and Smoke Weeds to the Future, those are sort of me doing what manga does. I've noticed that manga has this really useful and sort of left field funny idea where their elevator pitch becomes the title. Like
Right.
you'll see manga
Yes.
like I was reincarnated as a slime, that book. And that's that takes out the need for the pitch. And I felt proven correct when I was I've told this before, but it's such a moment to me. In one fell swoop, I received 3 orders. I received Smoke Weeds to the Future Volume 1, Destiny Volume 5, and the Destiny New York hardcover art book. I had a full day of unpacking at my storage unit. They were outside, so I was like, fuck it, I'm going to order food as I unpack this. I ordered Uber Eats. The driver pulls up, and they can see on the box, they squint and they go, Smoke Weeds to the Future, what's that? And I'm like, it worked. It worked, dude.
You want to know what it is now, don't you?
Yeah. And that's I've brought it to I think 6 cons since then, and at every con I've gone to with that book, it's been #1 seller. It
Sure.
stands out, the title stands out, and it works for people who love Destiny New York and for those who have no idea what it is. That's exactly my hope, and that's what I've seen working so far for sure.
That's awesome. Speaking of Smoke Weed, See the Future, there's also, it's happening now.
Ooh, nice graphic. That's cool.
Oh, thank you.
Let's talk about it a little bit. So you got Volume 2 live, and you can get Volume 1. What can we expect for Volume 2?
All right, Volume 2, it ups the comedy, it ups the drama, ups the romance. It takes the characters that you enjoyed in Volume 1 and it puts them in a new setting. Volume 1, it was about a cartel trying to take over this business, and the business is it's created by a seer. In our universe, a seer is someone who can look at you and see your future. Now, Taylor Hart, the lead character, the seer, she develops a strain of weed that allows people, normal people, non-seers, when they smoke her weed, they'll see a glimpse of their own future. So she has it as this sort of therapeutic service. And in Volume 1, a nearby cartel attempts to sort of take control of their profits and take their piece of the farm. Now, Volume 2 sees them move to a new location next to a vegan bakery. And in the least likely of places, this vegan bakery, Taylor gets a vision of this baker character's connection to a cartel member. So the story kind of rolls on from there. I can't say much about, what that connection is, but it's a big mystery, and it's every element we just wanted more. It's funnier, more magic, more drama, sexier, more romantic, all of it.
I'm going to assume cocaine muffins and go from there.
Imagine.
I'm excited to check it out.
Cocaine muffins see your past because it's very sad.
I see my past in this cocaine muffin. I am depressed.
But one of the things
and
I
then
love,
you have a lot of your Kickstarter this is like a smattering of tiers.
Yeah.
And I do love that one of your tiers is a Destiny New York card.
Oh, yes.
This book's great, but if you just want a trading card, here you go. Because you got to collect them all.
Yeah, I'll show you some stuff. We have I do trading cards. This is the holographic Long Island Comic Book Expo promo.
Yeah.
We have we have a bunch here,
Oh, that's really cool.
I did one in collaboration with Zenoscope. That is Logan from Destiny New York and Taylor as cosplaying as Robin Hood and Van Helsing from Zenoscope.
Nice.
Yeah. And those will be available too through the Kickstarter.
Nice.
Right now, it's just It's cards that are for this campaign. As we roll on, those are older convention cards, and I'll be rolling them out as a special pack that you can get through the campaign as well.
That's why I was like, that'd be cool if they all came out at once, so I could just hop on when there's like a pack of them.
Yeah, we will do at some point next year. We're going to do the Destiny New York trading card game starter decks. We're going to have 4 different decks, and each deck will focus on a different character or theme. We'll have the blue deck with Logan and Meadow, the green deck with green bean characters, the Aberdeen deck with gangster characters, and what's the third one? Let's see. Decks.
You're already answering my question because I was like, what are the 4 decks?
And the university deck with Joe Rollins and Jerry Gilbert. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I'm blue all the way, but let's go.
Blue will have the full characters involved. The main one is Logan. It'll have Meadow, Anthony, and Hassan, who has been our villain in volume 5 and 6.
Cool. That's awesome. I love it.
Oh yeah.
Fun. I love trading card games. Sentinels of the Multiverse is my favorite card game of all time. So let's go. The Rat Queens one was also very good. So I'm all about these comic book card games.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be very fun.
That's really cool.
I'm a big collector. You know, if you guys can see here, that whole shelf of binders that's all Pokemon cards. You know, so what I'm doing is that I'm a collector, and Jeff Massey, who is the assistant editor on Destiny New York as of Volume 6, he is more of a strategist. So he is planning the rules of the game as I'm supervising that, and I'm planning how the holo is going to look, how the art for the cards is going to look. So we're working together to create a game that's going to be fun to play and also creates a beautiful binder for a collector.
Cool. And you're just kickstarting it?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Eventually stores, maybe. We'll see.
Sure.
You know, it depends, of course, on how the Kickstarter goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, the cards that are coming out now are all from a numbered promo set. There's 36 cards. In that set, you can get all 36 by going on Kickstarter, going on my Etsy, all that stuff.
Sweet. Cool. I love it. That's so up my alley.
Awesome.
So one more question before we get to our big final 3 that we ask. And not that we'll have more questions before then, but the
first main question with other addendums.
Amendments, right. So you are one of the things that I realized was a misstep in my career. Not necessarily a misstep, but something that my goal was I want to show that I can write a story. So I'm going to write all these series together, you know, these different series and finish them. So you can show, hey, I can do this, crime, all these things. Versus serialized storytelling, which tends to be the best results on Kickstarter. Okay. Right? Like we're going to keep going and telling the story. And not only on Kickstarter, I would actually wager to say any great comic writer has it. You know, from David LePan's Stray Bullets to Savage Dragon from Eric Larson to Strangers in Paradise to Grendel from Matt Wagner. Like, these people had no intention. They're like, I'll write this forever, which I think is what eventually, like, if you do that and you have a decent amount of talent, you're gonna make it, right? Because you're literally showing, like, I don't give a shit if you acknowledge me. I'm gonna keep making stuff. And I think that there's a time where people are like, all right, 5-issue miniseries, well, I missed it, no big deal. But I think when you're on volume 3, they're like, why does he keep writing? Who's he writing for? They eventually show up. What do you feel about that? How do you feel? Was that a goal? Like, this is my one story. This is what if I can only tell one, this is going to be it. Or were you strategic? Like, I know the long form storytelling is what comics are missing, and that's what I need to bring back. Because if you look on the normal shelves, it's miniseries after miniseries after miniseries after miniseries.
Without it being some mantle superhero.
Right.
That doesn't count because it's how many writers are doing it.
Yeah, it's kind of a mixture of both for me. My main motivation was this. When I was at Zenescope, I was doing mostly long form. Zenescope now is shorter form with a mixture of long form, in that they do every title is a one shot that can build overall a character's arc. But what I was doing was I was writing Robin Hood for 4 years, all in a row, building her, and that at the time was what I was known for. It was what I put myself into. And
Right.
I came to a point where when I was done with Robin Hood, I thought, I need a book that I can put myself into. I can put all my hopes and dreams and thoughts and questions about life, put it into this book in a meaningful way and explore a set of characters that I can be with for years. So it was that my love of long form as a writer, plus, I was having the conversation about Destiny New York with IDW and some other publishers here and there, and the conversation was always that I was pitching an arc with what could happen next, and every time that it got further along in conversations, it felt as if it was just being seen as a miniseries, and I didn't want that. So I pumped the brakes on pitching it around, and I took it to Kickstarter. And my thought was, if we get funded, as soon as we get funded, I'm going to announce that it's ongoing. Because if we hit volume 1 and people read it, I know they're going to want volume 2. That was my thought. And that worked, Now what I do is, because the truth is, this is a way that Charlie Stickney and I are very similar. And I'll ask Charlie, like, how long is this series going to go? How long is this one going to go? And his answer for every single one is for a long, long, long time.
Right.
Every series. Now, I would do the same. Like, Destiny New York is what I would consider my main writing right now. But as far as my other work, As of the Barbed, Gangster Ass Barista, I could continue every series for a long time. Destiny is the one that has to continue for a long time. Like that's how we are now. We can't stop rolling. It's in the middle of something.
Mm-hmm.
That one has to go for a long time. But how I approach every series is that if I'm testing it out, volume 1 is going to end satisfying. It's going to be a satisfying end, but it's also a test to see what can last. Right. Because Travis, you are right. Kickstarter is where people with long form stories go to show the comics industry, the DM, that 4 issues tops is not the way.
Right.
Like, there's other options, and people want to read long form. They want to keep coming back. And there are books that, for example, Smoke Weeds to the Future. Smoke Weeds to the Future. Both campaigns have now outperformed my hope for them. Volume 2 is headed to outperform Volume 1, and after Volume 1, I also made it ongoing. That's a book that will go at least 4 volumes now. Whereas not all books do that well.
Sure.
Prison Witch 2 did a bit less than Prison Witch 1. So in seeing that, I was like, all right, so now it's time to think about wrapping up. So instead of doing 3 and 4 and 5, we'll add to 3, make 3 longer, and then advertise 3 as the finale and see if that gives a bump. So we did. We advertised Prison Witch Volume 3 as the trilogy's finale, and that was by far our biggest Prison Witch campaign. So that showed me that also advertising a series ending and showing that the book is complete, that's effective marketing as well.
Because then they can buy it all, and they're like, here's 3 trades. I grabbed the whole story that people say is really good, and I'm out. Like, you've got the whole story. Makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. But then there are also books like, for example, we did Mixed Magical Martial Arts, and it's a great book, and the campaign was successful, but it didn't hit a number where I could see it running for years. It did a fraction of what Smoke Weed does. So that's a book where my thought is, all right, it did well for what it is, and if I want to see those characters again, I'll have them in the main title. That's and same is true for what book? Gangster Ass Barista is a bit different because Gangster Ass Barista was the lowest performing of the spin-offs, but it was the first one too. So what I would do with that one now is I would do a volume 2 to see if my audience that has now grown will respond to it better.
Gravitate over to it now. Yeah.
Right. And if they didn't, then I wouldn't do a 3. You know,
Then you
So, like,
know it was.
that's how I learned
Yeah.
things.
That's
Yeah.
cool. It's nice. I mean, it must feel good to be, and this is why I'm glad you're on this, because you're, while being Kickstarter so friendly, you have your publisher, so you checked a box, but how you're able, same way with like Travis and stuff like that, where you have your next moves in line is one very interesting, but I'm assuming, Pat, that like that's got to feel good that like you can have those dips and then have breathing room to go, okay, this happened because of this. Now I need to do this. And then you're moving on to the next one. And you know you have like destiny behind you.
Right.
So like you know you have this major book that it'd be crazy to get off at this point. Whoever's on the ride at this point, who the fuck is jumping off now? I wouldn't get it. And I'm assuming it has to like also help your creativity, because you can kind of just like do what you think is right, and people seem to be responding to what you think is the way to do it.
Yes. Yeah, because that's exactly right. I've made calls that would be harder to make if the audience was unstable, you know.
Right.
For example, we were producing volume 5, and my original take on volume 5 had the content of volumes 5 and 6 squeezed into one volume. And at the size it was, I wasn't finding the time to explore things that became interesting to me as we went along. For example, in volume 5, there's a vision that Lilith receives when something happens to her sister because of their connection. That in the original was going to be a few pages, and in the version as is, it takes up a whole chapter. And there were elements of what Logan is going through as she's thinking about Lilith's situation and her goodness and what it means that she can look at what her ex has done and still accept her. What does that say about Logan? I explored that in a way that was more character driven than I originally had room to do by splitting those volumes into 2. And I would have been more scared to do that split, even though it's a very natural split. It felt like, now I look back and I'm like, how did I think that was going to work? You know? And if I wrote it that way, it would have, but it wouldn't be what it is now, which I think is the ultimate version of what it could be. And I'm glad and I feel blessed to not be scared to make that choice. Because what it is this was also the right call for the time, but it's the opposite choice of volume 3. Volume 3 is enormous. Volume 3 has 9 chapters. It has the first act is chapters 1 through 4. It follows Lilith in New York. Act 2 is 5 through 8. It follows Logan in California. And the 9th is a bonus chapter of short stories. Now, it would have made sense with a large audience to split that into 2 books.
That's 3 and 4.
Yes.
Yeah.
Those books would be the size of a normal trade. But I didn't want people to miss Logan for an entire trade. I didn't want people to not see Lilith then for an entire trade as well.
Yeah.
So I made the call then to keep it all in one. And that was the right call then, but it was a fear-based call.
Sure.
Even though it's right and it's the artistically right thing to do in my mind, the ultimate call was, I can't risk the audience, so I'll do this. But now I see it less as a risk and more giving the audience the exactly right version of what they're already invested in.
Yeah. That's going to pay off, especially when you're this deep into it.
Yeah.
That's the way I've read, full disclosure, I think I've read through 4. I read them digitally because it was the pandemic. So I picked them up digitally, and that's when it's hard for my brain to know how deep I got into it, but I know I read them in different California, New York. I know I read that and it was great, but it definitely could have been 2 trades. In my brain, those are 2 different stories. They just went like that. So that makes sense. That's interesting.
They connect in certain ways that I did on purpose, knowing that they were going to be in a book
together. Yeah.
But like for example, in chapter 2 ends with Lilith going to see Logan, and
Mhm.
chapter 3 begins with the knowledge that it somehow went bad and we don't know how. And
Yes.
then
Yeah.
chapter 6 shows the conversation,
Yep.
and that would have been harder to do having the audience wait for a year.
Right.
So I'm glad that I didn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Very cool.
Thank you.
Interesting.
No, I think there's a lot of power in long form storytelling. I mean, my original goal was to tell Broke Down in Four Dead Bodies for 12 issues and do a big long volume, 3 trades. And I decided to go in different paths, because crime is a hard seller and all these things, and I do plan on getting back to it. But I kind of wish that I did my opuses, right? Like, because I have my opuses that are in a folder that I'm going to get to that I know are money making things and I want to be paid for it. But as I've gone, I was like, you know what? I'm probably just going to do those in Kickstarter one day and own the whole IP because I don't want to give that pie to somebody like I thought I did. Right?
Yeah. No, that's 100% right. I mean, I think that you mentioned to me too that you would do Granite State Punk forever, right?
Yeah. Granite State Punk, I'll do forever. Yeah.
Good.
But I do plan on doing it. I don't know if I'll always have it at one shots, but I like the one shot format. These little one shots.
Oh yeah, that's good format.
Especially the old way Constantine. It reminds me of old Constantine. Those early issues were just one shot stories.
Uh-huh.
They were just kind of showing who he is, and I like that. And one of the things I've always loved about Constantine, if you read enough Constantine, you're like, oh shit, this is one big arcing story that I didn't realize because it didn't seem like it. And it all plays into one big thing. So I'd like to be able to get that gotcha moment with my audience, right? Going like, oh yeah, we're telling one story, even though they don't seem like they fit in whatsoever. Like, I gotcha. But yeah, we'll figure it.
That's exactly what I'm doing with Zenescope stuff. My Van Helsing run right now, each issue stands alone, but it thematically builds, and by the end, like, oh, this is the finale to what he's been doing there.
Right.
And the same. I'm glad that you get this too, because writers don't always understand that a one shot doesn't have to be standalone 100%.
Right.
It could build character. Like I was having a conversation with Matt Pizzolo. He runs Black Mask, and I'm curating the Black Mask Special Projects line, where I'm going through the Black Mask IPs and going, all right, more of this one. Do a one shot of this one. So I was talking to Matt. And Matt goes, yeah, the writer who you like on this IP said that he wants to do it, but he wishes it could be a miniseries. And I was like, tell him to chill, because doing that one shot doesn't mean it's the end. Do the miniseries as one shots, make satisfying bits that build to what the miniseries would have been. It's a new world out there, okay? And it doesn't have to be in the always format. It's like this. There are some comedians who stick to the late night style of appearance. Late night is passe. Podcast is where it's at. Live stream where it's at. Twitch where it's at. The methods have changed. Right. One shots are working really well right now, and I think that that's a good thing to do. We don't have to go by the old format of what the comic shop wants every month.
Right. No, and I think it helps with the comic shop what they want. It's always a number one, right? So it's always a number one. So hopefully that'll bring a new audience or help sell. It's always going to do that. So, Scout's actually been okay with it. They're okay with doing them in series of one shots once a quarter, which is really good because Scout likes that. What is it called?
Nonstop.
Well, they do nonstop. They do the issue 1 and then the full volume
and the trade.
And I was very actively against that. I was like, this doesn't fit that.
Which is cool for some stuff. I love it for some stuff. Like I was just like, dang, I'm really into this. Now give me the whole story because I do not need 6 singles of this. Awesome.
So let's talk about your Scout book because we forgot it. I didn't forget it, but it just got lost. It got lost.
Who fits it?
I am loving it. We just got issue 4 ready for the final next month, which is really exciting. The art style is so unique, so fun, from the animal choices to the way you're telling the stories. And what's kind of cool is even unintentionally, I assume, it really fits in a certain like category of scout books because they've got the By the Horns
By the
and
Horns,
a
yeah.
few books that kind of fit like your Azar the Barb like feel, which is really, really cool. We had a private conversation about where I was like, I think I know what's going on, but I don't.
Right.
It's such a deep, amazing story that I think is gonna like kill it on the trade paperback market when people get to read the whole story. Because I was like, you know what? It's one of those books, and it's not just you. It's tons of books that I read every month where I'm like, I don't fully think I understand what's going on, but when I read this all in one sitting, I'm going to be blown away. I can feel it, so I'm just going to power through and then read it when I get to issue 5.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Too, I'll say this: issue 4 is meant to be that scene, and it ends on this note where Azza has this epiphany, and you see through her eyes for a second, and you aren't 100% supposed to know what her epiphany is. Right. You're supposed to, if you look back at certain elements of 2, you can put it together, but she says what she's going to do based on what she saw in the opening page of 5. So it's pretty much, she has the epiphany, you end like, whoa, how is she going to win? And then issue 5, she says what she's going to do and why, and then acts on it right away. So 5 right now is being drawn in the final stages of seeing it drawn, and the art in the climax is absolutely insane. It's really cool. There's this homage to a classic Dragon Ball image. We did our classic Dragon Ball homage with the number 3 cover. We did there's a moment in the Cell games where Gohan and Goku have the father-son Kamehameha, and we did
one behind the other.
Yeah, we did a cover of Azza and her sister Ali doing that for 3, and then in the actual sequentials of 5, we have a very memorable homage to a certain Piccolo moment from the series, which I cannot wait for people to see.
Does it have to do with a Saiyan by any chance?
I'm not going to go any further beyond that.
That's fine. But my journalism. I got to dig.
Yeah, for sure. There's
not me just being curious.
Yeah, no, that's something good.
That's cool. I do love the ghost moment in Dragon Ball. In the Cell games is my favorite thing.
Oh yeah, great art.
And what I love about the book is every creature. Like you want to follow the creature. Like I don't even care about the humans half the time. Like, where's this dragon wolf thing? Like, where's this wolf? Where's this seahorse crazy looking thing? Like, I care just as much about those characters as I do the main lead in the story. Like, if you killed one of them, I'm going to be very sad.
Very much me too, to the point where Rio drew something in 5. Maybe I could share this screen. I'm going to screen share if I could. And
in the middle, you can share screen.
Let me just screenshot so I don't show the whole page. But Rio drew this, and I was looking at it, and they were so cool that I went back to the screen and I was like, what the fuck did I write for her to draw? Because this is so sick. How did I think of this? But it was she really elevated my original idea with what she drew. So let me pop that open and see. All right, share screen, right? How do I do that?
And then pull up the Alan Moore document and hit share screen.
Let's see if this works. Is it there?
Yep.
There we go.
Dope.
Yeah, there's a cool Ravens. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very sick. Very sick. Yeah. I'm a big fan of what she's been doing on the book. The Ignish, who is the seahorse jellyfish favorite character by far.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you've got so much in this book, like to build on of a universe and world. I love it. I think it's great. I hope it's doing great in Scout. You were a big grab. I remember. I remember because David, he's not there anymore. I can tell the story. David's like, guess whose business we're in right now? I was like, well, he's like, we're in the Pat Sham business. I was like, hell yeah, we're in the Pat Sham business.
Yeah, I'm happy to be there. I appreciate what they're doing. I want to do more there. I'm going to do more there. There'll be more Azza. I'm not sure if it will be called Azza the Barbed. Our idea is to do Shouldn't say it. It's Azza the Bard, Cardinal the Cursed, and then we'll say Ali the something, and
Cool.
have 3 arcs that complete what we've been calling the Saga of the Gods, which is these
Cool.
characters who are battling against and for these gods who are using them to their ends, or maybe the reverse begins to happen. I don't know. But yeah, it's gonna end. It's gonna end well with as a 5. I think it's a good end to the story. But for those who want to keep going, there'll be a lot of fun to be had.
Sweet. Very cool.
And I mean, if you've never been to the Scout site and looked at these covers, I mean, these are some of the best covers in comics. You know, they are really, really vivid. Like they're really, really good covers. You know, look at that cover. They're so good. If you don't see that on your shelf and buy it, like, I don't know why the hell you're at a comic store. Like, I just don't understand. Leave.
Unless it's a 4 and you're like, I'm going to get the trade because look how cool it is.
Fair enough.
We will eventually do a hardcover through Kickstarter
Nice.
as a special edition. Just got to figure out the logistics there, but that is very much the plan. Yeah.
Sweet.
And Scout will get the regular softcover trade.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah, I'd love to see that with a lot of back matter and like character designs. There's probably some great stuff there because it's a great partnership. It's a really good book. I was so blessed I picked one. Remember, I had one early and I got to brag that I had it like a couple. You're like, I haven't even got it yet. I was like, yeah, look at that, because I was at the store when they opened the box.
Oh yeah.
So it's good stuff. All right, so now we have our questions.
Yes,
it's late.
I knew Pat was going to go late.
Pat's too entertaining. We got to do these last questions.
I go
All
long.
right. So Pat, I'm going to ask you one question for you, Todd, because we haven't figured out the pattern yet. Is there other questions that you have that aren't on my list that you had separately?
Yeah, probably somewhere, but that's fine.
Okay,
Your list is good. We're at an hour 46. We're good with your questions. They're good ending questions.
Cool. All right. So the first
I've got one that I for sure want to add. So that's it. We're good.
All right. So the first question is, what do you think makes you stand out in the comic market? Like you, Pat Shand.
What makes me stand out? I would say my dedication to making every single character be a protagonist, from the supporting characters to the villains to the lead. I want every single character to have a life beyond the scenes where we see them in. I think that because of the brevity of comics, we are seeing a lot of plot-driven comics, and that works. But I like to explore the world through characters, and I always go back to this example. I had a character who, for 3 issues, was in Destiny New York. He was Logan's friend from work, and that scene was happening a 4th time. I was like, all right, so from here, we'll follow him home and see his home life. And it's important to me to do that, to build out the lives of these characters in meaningful ways, and to follow characters in directions where you wouldn't normally expect a series to go. I want to always do that. And I think that attention to character and dedication to the wholeness of character makes me unique within comics.
I don't even want to ask you other questions. I mean, that's a good one. That's a good answer.
Yeah, that's just good. Yeah. Second, the next question's good.
Okay. You want to ask it?
Sure, or we can go to the last question. That's fine too.
No, let's go to this next one.
All right. So obviously you're doing well. We actually talked about how you have breathing room to do all that, but that I feel like maybe that undercuts, and this question can bring up the other side of the coin. Just because you have the breathing room and because you have this availability doesn't make it easy. So when you do hit roadblocks, or when it does become difficult, what makes you keep going? What's the driving force that, not just a paycheck, but what because there's other ways to make money. What keeps you going?
the driving force is the vision itself, right? I, for example, right now, I am producing Prison Witch Volume 3. Technically, all of the art is in. Now, the difficult part, the part that I've not been looking forward to, is looking at it all at once and asking myself, is this a satisfying finale? Not even when I see the script. When I see the full art, when I see everything, does it hit every character beat? Does every scene get the time it needs to be satisfying to live? Does it end on a note that will make the characters and the themes stick with you beyond turning that final page? So, what becomes difficult is if the answer is not yet, then I have to work more. I have to pay for more pages. I have to not put it out for a bit longer. I have to produce more. So, what keeps me going in a situation like that, if that were to happen, was the work is for now. The end result is forever. Prison Witch Volume 3 and Prison Witch as a whole will be forever. When I print that trade, that's the vision. That's the cohesive story. So my thought is that it is so satisfying as a writer to have that vision, to have that printed, that the work just being the thing to get through in the present is nothing in the face of what's forever.
Awesome.
It's good.
That's great.
So we have two more because I think there's different questions, Todd.
I do too. I think they are too.
So I'm going to ask you one, and then Todd's going to ask you the final. So,
Okay.
What does this? We're talking like in the future, like 5, 10 years from now. What does leveling up in comics look like for you? What is Pat Chan 5 years from now? What does that level up look like?
A level up to me, because here's the thing. Destiny New York.
And I'm talking about a big level up, not a small like next level. I'm talking like 5-year plan, 10 year.
Now
We'll get to that other question.
Right. I'll say this. This is going to come off as shallow at first. I'll bring it home.
Pat Shan statue.
Leveling up for me is
Alan Gore document.
Is to be a multimillionaire.
Sweet.
Because Destiny New York is already exactly what I want it to be. Okay? It's exactly how I envision it. However, there are books that I can't do in my current plan because they aren't good financial decisions, right? Like, I was talking about what makes a smart ongoing series and how I have to pick here and there what becomes what gets to volume 2. I don't want to do that. I want whatever I want.
You want fuck you money.
Right.
I'm making it. Yeah,
right.
I love
because
it.
when I have that, it makes me as an artist able to do whatever I want. I can create whatever I want. I can look at Kickstarter and be like, listen, I know that kids comics don't work on the platform, but I have those stories to tell, right? And when I level up in that way financially, it takes that sort of scarcity mentality out of it, where I don't have to worry about how many people will back a certain IP, how many people will be into a certain style of comic. I can just do what I want, and that
you can print 500 and then do a Kickstarter.
100%.
Because what does it matter?
And the fact that I'm on the path of financial success based on comics that I love to create. So now, in my philosophy, that's a fun path to elevate my profile while also elevating my future potential to do whatever I want by doing what I want to be doing now. That's great. So
it's as good as it gets right there.
Yeah, the answer might seem shallow, and the truth is, money, love it.
Yeah,
but I want to create without thought about the finances, and to do that, I need the finances.
Yeah, The only way to get to creating a vacuum is to not have to worry about anything, or there's a vacuum.
Yeah,
That's the only way, and money is going to always be a part of that for sure.
100%.
So that
And I want to
doesn't
hire
sound
all my friends. You
makes
know,
total sense,
yeah, I want to hire all my friends. I want to be
right?
able to have people support their I want to have people be able to support their families through what I pay them alone. I
Yep.
want my friends who works as a plumber and wants to kill his boss. I want him to want to kill me instead because I'll be his boss.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Right. And then this leads into the last question.
Well, hold on.
with-
I got a statement about. I got to talk about that for a
Go,
minute because
go for it.
I feel that hard because I have literally for the last 2 weeks legitimately thinking because I was really good in film school about writing romantic comedies. I was just really good because it was really thinking about doing a graphic novel because I know 3 people in my life who've sold to the Hallmark Channel and got Hallmark Christmas movies. So I'm like, I can write a slice of life Christmas story, and I have a pretty good odds of success that I can make it because even if it's not as good as what some of the novels, it's because it's a graphic novel that they would choose it. So like, and that is 100% a business decision because I don't really want to do that. Like I don't have a heart to tell a Christmas Hallmark Channel graphic slice of life movie. But financially, I think it could really help my family.
you know what though? You are a Dawson's Creek fan, so I feel like you
Right.
can do it
I
right.
think it makes sense. And I do like the idea of you putting an Easter egg that somehow a murder is somewhere in there, but you got to really pay attention to it.
Tie it back to Broke Down.
Yeah. Well, that's a prequel. Holy shit. Did you see the briefcase in the closet? Oh, shit.
Well, that was one of the first reviews for Broke Down. When someone goes, wait, it's a love story? I was like, all good stories are a love story, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's all a love story. Everything I'm writing is a love story. You just haven't figured it out yet. I promise.
It's just not there yet. Yeah.
Hey, you know that actually brings to mind. You remember the TV show Heroes?
Yeah.
So Heroes, yes, season 1 was good.
Good writer's strike.
Yeah, season 1 was good, and then I remember during season 2, the showrunner, I think Tim Kring, mentioned that part of the reason why it wasn't as good was they tried to write romance, and he just isn't good at writing romance. And I was like, that took me out of it. I was like, what? Like that's the core. That's the core of what we do. You know,
Right.
Writers are writing stories largely about human connection and human conflict. What is a love story but that? And you can't do that. That is a major weakness, and that totally took me out of it.
And if you can't make Milo Ventimiglia into a romantic lead,
Yeah,
what's wrong with you?
yeah. What a packed cast! What a solid first season! And
Well,
what
you
a
know that
fumble
it
of
was
the
supposed to. He also talked about how season 1 was supposed to be contained and season 2 was supposed to be brand new characters, and the network nixed that.
Yeah.
And then writer's strike happened on top of it, so it's just like clusterfuck of a thing. But that season 1, one of my favorite parts of television.
really good.
It's so good.
Fumbled the bag.
Oh,
I prefer Lost, but okay.
Oh, I dramatically.
well, I didn't say it was the best.
Yeah,
Because
no,
Westworld
well,
also has season 1.
That's true though. You know, there was at the time the conversation of, oh, is it Heroes or is it Lost?
It was there.
Time has shown that it's Lost.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
Yes. But season 1 Lost versus season 1 Heroes, that's a debate worth having.
Yeah.
I still would go with Lost, but they're very good.
both are very good for sure.
Until Sawyer becomes Gambit, I'm going to continue to go Lost because that needs to happen.
It
The
has
fact
to
that
happen.
hasn't happened makes me insane.
It's a damn shame.
That the actor's incredible.
He
That's
got
one
to
of
be
my-
in Community as the paintball bandit, though, and that was amazing. I loved that.
Lost is a comic book license that I cannot believe that.
That's how you answer all the issues that people have, is just make it into comics. It's so simple. Just let
Such
comics have it.
Such an easy format to do.
The Dharma Initiative 6-parter, I'm reading immediately. If they're like, we're putting 6 issues out of Dharma Initiative, I'm like, okay, here's my money.
I would be all over that.
Yep.
All over.
So we know where you want to be in the future with your major level up and what you see and where you want to be. the here and now, where's your next level up? What's the on the horizon that you're seeing? Where are you leveling up to next?
Where am I leveling up to next?
Or where do you want it to be?
I want to, this is kind of a bit intangible, but it's my goal. I want to be quicker on Kickstarter because what I've been doing recently is, not even recently, since I started, my general plan was out of pocket, pay for 5 to 10 pages of art, all the covers, all the merch, Kickstart it, produce the rest. Then from 2020 to 2022, early this year, I have seen the U.S. port completely struggle to bounce back from COVID. Mm-hmm. Everything else has seemed entirely functional. The printer itself in Taiwan, they were quick, but customs and the port, I don't know who the fuck they have working there, but it completely slowed my production down. So I was seeing books delayed for months and months and months. And my thought became, wow, I now have a campaign where it isn't too late beyond the delivery, but if I look at when it launched, backers supported it and got it almost or even over a year later. What I want to do now is, one, change printers to Canada so it's quicker. Mm-hmm. But two, I want to be producing books in advance. I want to be producing on what I already have, putting everything into production as soon as I have a team attached. And then when I kickstart, deliver more quickly and do more campaigns. So at this point next year, I want next year to have double the campaigns I had this year. This year I did Prison Witch 3, Cheeky, Destiny New York Volume 6, Mixed Magical Martial Arts, and now Smoke We See the Future Volume 2. 5 campaigns. If I don't do 10 campaigns last year, I'm out of my mind. Have to do it.
All right. And you want to have those rewards coming.
Yes. I want to have
between those campaigns, like already rolling and going to the next, which is important for a Kickstarter because people, if they're going to keep following your train, for especially people who are going to get all 10, having those things coming in is very much like piece of candy. Get the next one because they got it, and now it's like, oh, it's going to happen that quickly. This hit the button, get the thing. That's important if you want to do 10. So that's huge. So that makes sense.
100%. Yeah,
very cool.
I want it to be where there's always something being kickstarted, always something in production, and always something being received. The receiving, it has been my weakness. I've always been in production and I've always been kickstarting. But a lot of the times, books would all happen and end around the same time. I would receive them and I would have 3 campaigns to deliver at once.
Yeah. Yeah, you were just talking about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Insane amount of work. And that kind of bundling of campaigns too kind of hurts promotion because with those books, they all were sent out between September and October. And they had an ad for Destiny New York, Volume 6 in it. And they had launch dates for my next 2. Cool. But I would have preferred Destiny 5 to have a card for when Destiny 6 launches. I would have preferred to have the art book have the card for when Mixed Magical Martial Arts launches. Smokeweed 1 to have the card for when Smokeweed 2 launches. And then they come out month to month to month. And when I master that, and I'm already about 75% of the way toward getting on that path, my shit is going to take off.
Basically, you just want to be a monthly publisher next year.
Yes.
Almost. Like real close.
Yeah, and part of doing that is also putting out some single issues here and there. Like I have
because that's a lot of trades.
Yeah. I have 3 full color single issues that I'm kickstarting next year. Cool. And those are going to be able to be printed and probably even sent within a month to 2 months of the campaign ending. So
nice.
Yeah.
I can't believe I did one more Kickstarter than you last year. That's insane.
6?
I did 6. Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
I mean, let's not look at our money.
Yeah.
But I mean, I got one that can play. The rest are, we're doing all right.
That's one of my well, if we count my Black Mass special projects one, that's 6. but
Oh, you want to? Then I can count No Contest and Tales from the Collective, and we can go all day. Let's go.
Oh boy! Bye, everybody.
That's also a result, of me being with Taiwan Printing for so long. I've gotten used to waiting, and I had the moment, the kind of like come to God moment, where I was like, all right, so I pay less to print in Taiwan than I would in Canada, but I kickstart at a fraction of the speed I would if I had the book faster. Yep. I make more money on Kickstarter than I do from not spending money. Like not spending money is one thing. Money in is the key. Yep. So if I can go to Canada, spend more money, and then have more money coming in, that's how I produce more work.
It's got to be better too if you have issues. If something ends up having an issue with the printer and it's coming from Taiwan and you're like reverse customing, I'm assuming that's just also the one time it happens would be enough for it to just be the worst.
Thirsty was the worst. Thirsty had 3 different slowdowns. The first slowdown was by choice. We chose to send a digital proof to customs before printing to ensure that they would approve it and not flag it as explicit when it came in.
Yeah.
We did that. It took a month. Then Taiwan Printing went okay. Got held up at the U.S. port 2 months. Got held up at U.S. Customs, even though we pre-approved, they still held it up.
Ugh.
About a month and a half. Long delay.
Yeah.
Long delay.
Woof.
So I want to make sure that never again, because Canada bypasses the port, bypasses customs.
And the back and forth, how much trading and importing and exporting happen between U.S. and Canada is insane. That's just normal life. That's every day.
And I think it will affect backers, because if backers know that they're going to get the book, not waiting a year, I'm sure you've lost some.
Oh yeah,
that have been like, I don't want to wait that long for your stuff. I'll just
2 months.
No one's going to complain about waiting 2 months. Because I do it sometimes when I'm back in campaigns.
Previews and wait longer than that.
Right. So I think that's tough. Well, Pat, thank you for being our second guest.
Thank you.
We had a great time. I hope that you had a good time being able to explore your career. We're hoping to do a different type of show here that really gets in depth with the creator. And I really feel I got to know you a lot better in this, and got to know you as a creator and really, really grow and love, because these are what I love when I'm searching on the internet. These are the ones I love to listen to, the ones that deep dive into comic, not just talking about what's coming out next month. Let's talk about what's going, what everyone's doing.
Oh yeah. Sure. That is what I like as well. So
give us one more pitch for that wonderful Kickstarter. Can we bring up that Kickstarter, Todd?
I'm clicking it now.
Let's bring this Kickstarter up one more time. Smoke weed, see the future. Why should we back this? Why do we need to get 1 and 2? What's going on?
Let's go. The Smoke Weed, See the Future. If you ever wonder where comedy films went, actually funny character-based comedy, it's gone. It's here, dude. I stole it. I'm bringing it back. Smoke Weed, See the Future. It has elements of fantasy, magic, romance, comedy, a lot of weed smoke, and it's characters too. It's not just a weed comedy. It's characters that you can invest in long term. Like Destiny New York, we have a full cast here, a engaging cast filled with characters that you're going to want to follow for years. Taylor Hart, the lead character, is one of our breakouts from Destiny New York. She is the sweetheart of that series. She is the leader of this, and I think that she is our most popular for a reason. People love following her journey, and I have loved writing it. It is at tinyurl.com/420comic2, the number 2.
It's also in the description below.
There we go. In the description below, it's going to run for at least 4 volumes. This is volume 2. So you can catch up on volume 1 and 2. The art, beautiful. Covers, absolutely gorgeous. premium treatment, premium printing, and a lot of hard work and heart put into the book.
How many pages are they getting for it?
Volume 1 is 60 plus 2 shorts, probably about 75, and volume 2 is base. We said 80, really it's more 85, and if we hit 30,000, which, let's be real, gonna do it, that's gonna be a short story as well, so probably about 90 for volume 2.
Look at that. And that's some other people's single issue prices, y'all. So get up in there because people are crazy on Kickstarter.
But wait, there's more. We've got Ozzy the Barb number 5 coming out next month, or
Yes.
this month.
Next month, yes. Yeah.
Next
Yep.
month. So we've got that ending, and then we have a couple other. What do we got for Zenoscope?
We have Zenoscope is we have Grimm Myths and Legends Quarterly. That's a 72 page. I mean, it's a graphic novel. They call it a one shot. It's 72 pages though. You know, it's
Yeah.
that's called Blood of the Gods. It is a crossover of their Hellchild and Gretel titles. Oh, Hellchild is also one that I co-created with Ralph and Jeff. That's coming out. The final 2 issues of my current Van Helsing run. I'm not off the title, but we're wrapping up our ongoing arc with the next 2. One is called Deadly Alchemy, and one is called and let's see. And Gangster-esque Barista is launching in single issues from Black Mask end of this month.
Look at that.
Lots of dope things. And then there's a Lady Zorro. You're finishing that up, right?
Yes. I will say that, something did happen there. That issue pictured the final fight of Lady Zorro is coming out. We were doing 2, though. We were doing Lady Zorro versus Swamp Witch and the final fight of Lady Zorro. Swamp Witch licensing issue, that's not going to happen. That story is being repurposed into something else. Nice. So final fight of Lady Zorro is finishing it all up.
Amazing. So lots of stuff.
Well, a couple of ways to check out Pat's stuff.
Oh yeah.
Right. So if you like anything, and if you like strong female characters, all of them are strong female characters. So
if you like anything, read this. Is a really good pull quote you should use, Pat.
I should use that, right?
If you like anything,
that is good.
You should check this out.
That's good.
You can use my name.
That's the top one.
Use it, Travis Gibb. Pick Coins of Judas or Granite State Punk. I'll let you know the order numbers to tell you which one to do when we get there. So thank you for having us on. But good night, everybody. It was the other way around. We don't
the other way around.
We don't have a level. We don't have an ending for this. So we're just going to tell you, lovely people, to level up. Do the next thing. Don't wait.
Yeah.
Level up. Keep leveling up. Keep making comics, doing great things. And we're gonna be back next month with John Lees, talking about all the great things he's done from Sync. Talk about his new. I think it's IDW is the Pillars one, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Hotel.
Hotel. We're gonna talk about the AWA stuff. All cool stuff. So John Lees is next. And then we get another surprise guest in January. So we're going to keep leveling up here with new guests all the time. But thank you guys for coming out. From Todd, myself, and the legendary Pat Chand. One question before we go, Pat. Any chance that we can get that Alan Moore thing? Just one.
Why not? All
right.
Worth a shot.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.